Hello, my name is Ilona and today it's Friday, December 9th, 2022, and I started with an article that concerns the Netherlands. Apparently, Secretary of State Alexandra van Huffelen from the D66, what is in a number, political party, went to Brussels and against the will of the parliament, they actually filed a motion against it. She agreed with the European digital identity. Now, I've looked at the identity. I actually looked at the euro, the digital euro, a couple of weeks ago. So a lot of people were asking me about this. It's kind of confusing. You said that the euro wasn't going to be part of it and they're pushing it through. But this is the digital identity. I don't think this is going to be pushed through anyway. But that's, of course, how I feel things. Of course, see what resonates for you. Anyway, I believe that this entire thing that's going on right now is really to wake up people. Mrs. Van Huffelen actually made a video about this because she was so proud, because all she was doing. Klaus was much proud, of course, for this agenda rollout of Agenda 2030, and there were massive negative reactions towards her, at least on Twitter. And I think this is really waking up people, understanding what's truly going on, and that they are not there for us. They are there to roll out the Agenda 2030. They are not here for the Dutch people. And I think that's so important for people to connect. And now, because Elon took over Twitter, these reactions remain there. So they're not being pushed aside or taken away, or certain accounts, shadow banned or pushed to the side or suspended. And people are now seeing things as a lot of people are viewing. There are so many people waking up now and starting to connect the dots. And I think this is what this entire thing is about. So she actually, against a motion filed by the parliament, I think this is going to have still some things will come out of this. But I truly believe that this has to do with showing people. I don't think it's going to get that far with the digital euro and the digital identity, because there is going to be so much resistance now. And this is an energetic war. This is a spiritual war. The Satanists, the dark energies, they need our permission one way or another, because this is a free will zone. So if we energetically truly do not want this at all, we do not give permission, we will not comply, that is an incredible, powerful force that some people do not truly understand. They won't be able to use our power if we do not give away our power. And they need it to create all these things. That's why when you see more and more resistance happening, you see that they're not that easily push things through anymore. I do get, and I thought that was very interesting, of course, questions about the white hats. I truly believe in the white hats, so I'll stand for that. I understand if people see that differently. But I get questions, of course, like, why is it taking so long? What are the white hats waiting for? Maybe you should turn it around. What are the dark energies waiting for? Especially if you believe that the white hats and dark hats are all the same thing. What are they waiting for? They could have pushed this through easily a year ago, especially when people were locked up. Even here in the Netherlands, we had passes. So people that did not get this thing couldn't go to restaurants. They could have, kept it. If they were really truly empowered, they could just pushed it right through. Why aren't we already in a social system? Why isn't there already a digital identity? They already have the plans. They have it well in advance. So they could have easily rolled it out in a situation when a lot of people were, in their houses, couldn't get out. That's something to consider. So maybe we could turn it around as well. They have this, 2030, and they really need to step it up now. So it's an interesting question. What are the dark energies waiting for? They had so much power, as some people truly believe, that they really are just pushing the agenda. Well, why haven't they already pushed all these things? Why aren't the things mandatory? That would probably be the first thing on their list, especially with everything that's coming out right now about these things. A lot of people are not getting their next things. could have pushed that through. They could have had that passport already. And then people probably would have gotten it. So interesting thing, maybe switch it around. Maybe look at what are the dark energies waiting for. So I wanted to take a look in the first card reading to Germany. What's happening there? There have been 25 people arrested. Reichsbürgers, if I'm not mistaken. It's called Reichsbürger. They were all part of this organization, and the head was an aristocrat named Heinrich the 13th, if I'm not mistaken. Very interesting. They were going to take over the Reichstag, so the government building, and wanted to overthrow the government. At least that's what they're saying, that's what's happening. But I also shared a clip from, I think Alina Lipp is her name, if I'm not mistaken. And she's a German journalist, and she actually already said that this looks like this is really completely staged, and that the media already had articles ready like within the hour. So that's very suspicious, obviously. And this is really about repressing free speech, that the government will use this to create laws so people won't be able to speak out and speak their mind. And especially with people with different ways, of different ideas, and of course against the government, so to speak, that are against what's happening now and what they're doing. And so that's very interesting. So I've taken a look. This is the cards I got. The first one was the Page of Pentacles. This is the Three of Pentacles. That's the central card. In the past we have the Knight of Pentacles. Underneath the central card we have the Seven of Swords. And for the near future, the future, we have the Ten of Cups and the Eight of Wands. I thought that was very interesting. I also shared a message from Storm Rider about the situation, that this was a false flag. So the dark energies purposely are using this to take over or take back their control of the speech, of course, especially with Twitter now kind of gone out of the hands of the dark energies. We're getting a lot more truths now. There are things happening in the media as well. So this is like their way of trying to regain that power again and suppressing certain opinions that are against certain things like the government and things like that. So to me, this is, they've been working together. This feels staged. That was the first feeling I got when I've read the news in articles. This is staged. This is an opportunity to show things. And also, and this is interesting, the dark energies are still trying to get away with certain things. I do believe that the dark energies initiated this, that they probably have infiltrated, they probably had puppets working in certain organizations. And that way things escalate. That's what they do. They try to take over certain organizations, escalate things so they can step in. And this to me feels completely staged. And I think, especially with these cards, things will come out, especially when people like Alina Lipp are speaking out. People are starting to connect the dots. So I do think this could actually have a positive effect, especially if the government is trying to push suddenly laws concerning free speech. That will be very, suspicious now, especially when things are coming out about this and people are speaking out as well. So I think this is going to fall through. Also, there is an article in Zero Hedge, I almost forgot, that is speaking that this has happened before. In 2017, there was a Noordkreuz group that apparently was preparing for something as well, and that fizzled out. So the Office of Attorney General halted its investigation into the group, saying they had no probable cause to keep going. So that was very interesting as well. So something similar has happened before. And they also mentioned that if the plan was real, it was crazy to begin with. Because even if the group was planning to storm the Reichstag, so the government building, which is a claim we should take with a grain of salt until all the facts come to light, there is little possibility of such a coup succeeding in the modern era. If the group managed to defy all odds and take control of the Reichstag, the individuals allegedly involved in this case would have been promptly handcuffed and ushered into prison. Because you need a base of power, which means you need to have the military help you out with these things. And that's very interesting because, of course, people, sometimes say, well, we should just go to the government buildings, just take over. Yeah, then the army or the military, the police will come in, and if you don't have their support, they will just take you away. Just because you take over a government building doesn't mean you take over the government. And I think that's very interesting, especially with things happening now in Brazil, with so many people out on the streets asking for the military help. It's important, they need that help to overthrow, of course, what's going on there. And I do believe a lot of things are going on there right now in Brazil, and that the military have taken over. So if you truly want that happening, about everyone should go out on the streets in the Netherlands or in Germany, and we should probably ask the military for help as well. Although I think things are already happening there, especially in Germany as well, and I believe here in the Netherlands as well. So sorry about that. I think things are already happening, and the military are already on their places and are already. I should have gotten some glass of water. That's what I get when I talk too much, so to speak. In any way, it's very important. So if you really want to take over a country, so to speak, you really need help. You need military to do that. Otherwise, they will just use the military against you or the police against you, and you're not going anywhere. So I just wanted to mention that as well, because that's very interesting. Because some people that think that, we'll just go over to The Hague and then everything will be all right. If you go over with everyone in the Netherlands, or if everyone in Germany would stand up, of course that's a different case. But still, you will need help to get rid of all these puppets, because the influence is so strong. It's everywhere at any level. That's why it's taking so long. The white hats really need to drain the swamp everywhere. So to me, this feels like positive things are going to come out of it in the end, and things are moving fast. So it wouldn't surprise me if certain connections will come out, if what's really going on with the media, how they managed to get this so fast. I think more things are going to come out about this. I think the white hats kind of are like, you know what, we're going to let them do this. Sometimes it seems like, well, if the white hats are in control, why would they let them do this? This is about draining the swamp. If you let things happen, you see who is on what side. And that's very important, especially when you're moving down the line in all these organizations, like the police, like the justice system. Who's standing where? You need to know. Otherwise, some puppets will remain, and that could cause a problem later down the line. The interesting thing, of course, was that Alina Lip was mentioning that this has to do with laws about the freedom of speech. So I also wanted to take a look at Ireland, because they have right now a bill that wants to limit free speech. It's called the Criminal Justice Bill 2022. Of course, they're saying this has nothing to do with free speech. This is really about people inciting things and creating, problems, and in a very negative way. But ultimately, who is to decide what falls under that bill? And that, again, is the government. And they can actually put you in prison for 5 years. So worst case scenario, you say something on Twitter or on social media, and it falls under that bill if you're in Ireland, and they can just come to your home and put you in the prison for 5 years. So this is very extreme. I also shared videos of people in Dublin coming together, speaking out about this. The cards I got, the first thing that fell out was the King of Wands. Very interesting, the white hat influences. We have the Hermit as the central card. We have the King of Swords in the past. We have Judgment, very interesting. And then the future, or the near future, is the Seven of Swords again. Very interesting with this theme, of course, of people thinking they can still get away, or the dark energies still thinking they can get away with things. And we have the King of Cups. So I think that this is again to wake up people, to really show them what's going on, and the Irish people are responding. I do believe that people are starting to understand and connect the dots so much going on in Ireland with the refugees, and of course the prices there as well. A lot of people are starting to understand that their country is going to waste and they need to stand up. So this is probably most likely a white hat sort of operation. You have to understand that this is really a chess game. So it will seem like the dark energies are still trying to gain control. That way the white hats can see who are working for the dark energies, who are the puppets there. And it's to show the people what the real agenda is about. It's to show them, not tell them. I've mentioned it many times before. This is about waking up people, and that people starting to research for themselves, finding answers inside of themselves and not outside. So people are really starting to realize something's up, and I think that's very important in Ireland. It may seem like they're still going to get away with it, but it will be connecting the Irish people more and more, and I think they will be speaking out more and more about this. Ultimately, this will bring out positive energies, but it will seem like a very negative thing. But sometimes, I've mentioned this before, if you want to wake up people, I of course did the video about the sleeper, that you need to personally hurt them. This may sound very in an awful way, but I've noticed if I was personally affected by something, it gave me an opportunity or to fall apart or to rise above it. And it's necessary that people get that opportunity. People remain in a comfortable way. They really are not going to start searching for information, inside of themselves. They will just follow their ways. They will just not change very much. But when they're affected personally, it wakes them up. It gives them the opportunity to wake up. But it's ultimately up to us, each and every one of us, to make that decision, to wake up, to see things differently. So to me, this is really about showing people. That's why they're pushing this through. The dark energies obviously still think it may seem like they're going to get away with things. And like I've mentioned with the first article here, of course, with the digital identity, it will seem like they're going to roll it out, like it's going to get that far. But it's about creating that resistance. It's about reaching inside and people understanding. It's about their energy. It's about their compliance, if they're going to comply with it or not. It is so important. People need to understand that if we don't start working with our energies, we're giving away our permission. If we truly inside of ourselves, internally, yes, say, this is not what we want this. We want freedom. We want to say what we want to say. We want to do what we want to do, what feels right to us. Connection with God, with our intuition. That will change completely the energy. The dark energies need our energy to create. They need our permission. If we do not give them our permission anymore, they're going to have a humongous problem. First of all, they won't be able to feed off our energies anymore. They'll be starving and they won't be able to use it to create. They are not capable of creating anymore. They have disconnected themselves from God, from their soul. So they don't have that source energy, which we do have. And it's really time that we start to understand this is a spiritual war. This is a war about our energy. If we start to work with our energy, they won't be able to do anything with it anymore. And I fully understand there are a lot of people that do not fully understand this. Yeah, but we have to stand up. We have to do something. Well, this is the best thing we can do. Say no inside. Do not comply. We're not going to do it. They may push things through whatever they want. We will not comply. We will not give permission. And then everything will fall apart. And we are already experiencing that. Their narratives are falling apart. We are getting more and more information about the stings. People are starting to realize there's something very wrong with the stings, whether they want to acknowledge it or not, but people are starting to notice. So I want to leave that this. I hope to see you in another video. Bye.